What happened was I started to do clinics for family history of breast and ovarian cancer in these isles about 25 years ago. And as I started to see people, I realized that there were little groups of families that might link up. And over time, we started to be able to do genetic testing for the BRCA1 gene. And I realized we were dealing with one huge, huge family. I was then we were able to identify the gene difference. And I was suspicious that there would be people that we weren't aware of through relatives of the family we had. And I wanted to see how common it was in the general population in Orkney. And we were able to team up with a population scientist called Jim Wilson, who tested 2,000 people and found that 20 of them, that's 1%, share the alteration in the gene, many of whom were unaware of it.
And give us an idea of the focus on Westray, which is where you're talking to us from now. How did you get there and how difficult has that research been?
When we look very closely at the genetic data from Orkney overall, we were able to identify that the vast majority of the people with the gene alteration had at least one grandparent from this Isle of Westray. And by targeting testing to people who have a Westray grandparent, that lets us, in a really efficient way, narrow in on people who might have a chance of having that gene and having the cancers associated.
So why is that? Why is it that people where you are, people living on the islands, are more likely to have this gene mutation?
What has happened historically is something we call a founder effect. The populations up here are isolated and geographically, and in history, many of the people tended not to move away. They farmed the land that their ancestors had farmed, or they fished from the ports that their ancestors had fished from. And the population up here is genetically distinct from the rest of the UK. And even then within Orkney, the population of individual isles is genetically distinct, especially Westray. So that's the reason for this Westray founder effect.
And what does this actually mean then? I mean, give us an idea of the reaction that this has had from some of the people you've been speaking to in Westray, and what's it going to look like months, years down the line?
I spoke to the community for the first time last night, and as they heard the news, the room really went quite quiet. And there was a flash of worry went across people's faces. And then as we went on and spoke about the positive interventions that we can do, the ways that we can change things if you know about the gene by bringing in extra screening early or by preventative surgery, the shoulders squared up and people started to look to the future and see that there was real benefits in this knowledge. And by the end of the meeting, they were chipping in with ways that we could speed up the process of offering a test to everybody that might be eligible. We want to initially start that in Westray itself. And I want eventually to, hopefully within the next year or two, to set up a system so that people from further afield who have a Westray grandparent can benefit from a test.
And before we let you go, give a little bit of love to the cafe, because this is the only place on Westray where there's Wi-Fi. So where are you?
I'm at the Groti Bucket Cafe, which is on the beachfront in the wee village of Pirawall in Orkney. So I will pass that on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and all the best with your research.
Thank you.